Hey, welcome back to the channel. So we have another fog Sudoku by Megan033. Let's just jump into the rules of this one. As you know, I've done quite a few from them, and they are almost always fog puzzles, which I love, so I'm good with that. Um, let's just jump into this one and get our rules going and figure out how we can solve this. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, oops, lost the track there. Every column and every 3x3 box must contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. We're all very aware of that at this stage. Digits along a magenta Renban form a set of consecutive non-repeating digits in any order. So we do have one visible in our non-fogged area at the moment. So what that means is this pink or purple or magenta, however you wish to describe it, this line, these three digits must be consecutive and non-repeating, but they do not have to be in a specific order. Now, we've got adjacent digits along a green German whisper line must have a difference of at least 5. So again, we have one that's visible here for an example, which is great. So it just means whatever this digit is, this has to be 5 away from that one, and this one has to be 5 away from that one. That's German whispers. Now, the digits along each arrow must sum to the digit in the circled cell. Again, we do have an example set up here. So these two digits, whatever they may be, on this arrow, on the lines of the arrow, when they are added together, they equal whatever is in this circled cell. Now we're going to move into Kropki dot rules. So a black dot between cells. We don't have a black dot on the screen at the moment, so I'll have to just make an example. A black dot between cells value indicates cell values with a 2-to-1 ratio. So if there was a black dot, let's say right here, so these two cells were connected by a black dot. Whatever this digit is, this digit either has to be half or double of that other digit. That's what a black dot is. Now, a white dot between cells indicates cells which are consecutive. Now, we do have examples of those. What that means is that these two digits, whatever they may be, just must be consecutive. So 2, 3, 5, 6, whatever the heck they may be. Same goes with the other ones we have, and which are probably more in here we can't see. Now the grid is partially covered in fog, as you can all see. Correctly placed digits. Oh wait, sorry, I missed a slight rule that I want to go back and say on our Kropki dots. Not all dots are given. So that means that there is not a negative constraint that we can add into here, which can be important. So then we can go to our fog. The grid is covered in fog. Correctly placed digits will clear the fog around that cell. No guessing is required. So if we were to guess what this, or not to guess it, but if we were to figure out what this digit was, the areas around it in the 3x3 box would therefore be clear to fog, so these would all clear, and then assuming we will find new clues behind that fog that we can then continue to work the puzzle. And then we do have one more, and this is again a rule that we cannot see an example of at the moment, but digits in a cage do not repeat in sum to the clue in the top left. These are killer cages. So let's say we had a cage that did this. It would be the cells would be surrounded in a dotted line. They would have a number in the top left corner, and those three digits, whatever they may be, would add up to whatever that digit is. And that's just an example. Just clearly can't tell if there's a cage up here, there's one down here, if there's one doing something like that. We don't know. So those are all of our rules. Let's just try to jump in this one and see what we can figure out. So we've got couple of things we can start to look at. Now, clearly we have to start working here. We have no other information because of the fog, which is one of the things I actually like fog puzzles, because they kind of concentrate you, at least to begin with, and focus you into an area instead of seeing the entirety of the puzzle and then having to break down where the actual start point is. This kind of focuses you. And sometimes I lack focus, so this helps. So what can we do? Now, we can't really do much with this line. There's a little bit we can do. This arrow and the Kropki dot combined together. Now, we know these have to be consecutive, so they could be 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, etc. Now, that said, that actually limits what can go in the circle of it, but it doesn't do a great job of it at this point. Because it could be, like I said, it could be 1, 2, which is 3, it could be 2, 3, which is 5, it could be 3, 4, which is 7, and it could be 4, 5, which is 9. So not great. I'm putting those in there just for the heck of it right now. Now, can we use the combination of all of these? Because like I said, on a German whispers line, we do know that we have an offset in highs and lows. So if this was a high digit, these would both be low. If this was a low digit, these would both be high. But can we pull that together and determine where we can start to whittle down what these possibilities can be? Now, I think it might be safe to say that we can never have a 1, 2, 3 on this Renban. And why is that? Well, it would take away all except for one low digit, which would be a 4. Now, we have to have a low digit on this German whispers line at some point. So if you put 1, 2, 3 up here, we'd have to have a 4 on the German whisper, and we can only have one low digit, so it would have to be in the middle, and therefore these would both have to be 9s, because 4, the only digit 5 away from a 4 is a 9, so that wouldn't work. Now, the other way to go about it would say, could we have 2, 3, 4? Now, that would force a 1 down here, but then these two digits would have to be at a minimum of 5, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would have to be 5, 6 at bare minimum, which is 11, which doesn't work. So we're kind of reducing what can actually go in some of these places. Although, once we get out of, I think, once we get into 3, 4, and 5, we might be losing our ability to continue to reduce what can go in this. So how else can we look at this and try to make some reason from it? Now, I guess we could probably also, we can also say this cannot be a 1, 2, because if this is a 1, 2, this creates a 3, which does the same thing that the Renban would have done. And it forces a 4 into the middle, and these both have to be 9, so this can't be 3. Now, can we do something similar with a 2, 3? Because if we put 2, 3 here, this has to be 5. These have to be high, so from 6, 7, 8, and 9. If this is 2, 3, we have to have 2 low digits on here. They have to be 1 and 4. The one in the middle has to be 9. And this would have to be 6, 7, 8. That would be a given if this was a 2, 3. So that is somewhat interesting. Now, can we continue to reduce this? If this was 3, 4, we'd get 7 up here. Now, we couldn't put 1, 2, 3 on here because we've already used 3, 4. And I don't think we could do anything on here, actually. So we have 3, 4. This equals 7. You'd have 5, 6, but then you'd have to jump to an 8, which doesn't ever work. So you can never make the Renban and the arrow work in a 3, 4 situation. So I think we can get rid of that. Now, the next possibility would be 4, 5, which gives us 9. If we did 4, 5 to get us 9, what does that do for us? These could still be 6, 7, 8. No, they couldn't be. We couldn't ever put 6, 7, 8 up here in this situation because we would have used all of our large digits and we wouldn't have anything down here. So this could never be 6, 7, 8. So if this was a 4, 5 and this was a 9, that would force this to be a 1, 2, 3. And again, we would have nothing left here. So this has to be a 5. And it turns out to be correct. So this has to be a 2, 3. All right, so we had to do a lot of divergent paths to try to figure out what is possible and what isn't possible on here. Now, I don't know if there was a simpler way to do something more pure and mathematical. which is not really my strong suit. So I wouldn't find it even if there was something there, most likely. I'm sure if there was, you'll tell me in the comments, which I'm happy to hear because I always like to see how these things are figured out by other people who look at them in completely different ways than I do. So anyway, we know we have a 2, 3, 5. Now our Renban must have 7 and 8 on it, because we can't put 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, etc. So it has to be from 6, 7, 8, and 9. So therefore it must have a 7 and an 8. We just don't know if the 6 or the 9. Well, if this was 7, 8, 9, that would break it. We already said that, didn't we? Or maybe that was in a specific response to this, but I still think it does break it, because the same situation we were doing with the 1, you couldn't do a 1, 2, 3 up here. You can't do a 9, 8, 7, because that would leave a 6 here. And there's only one digit that works with 6 on a German whisper, which is the 1. So you'd have to put 1 on both of these. So this cannot be 7, 8, 9. So therefore it has to be 6, 7, 8. Let's get rid of those notations. Therefore, there's only one high digit left over. It must be in the middle, so it has to be there. And these have to be from 1 and 4, because those are the only digits left over in this box. Now, can we, now that we've opened this up, but I feel more intrigued about this. And what are the possibilities here? So if this was a 1, we'd have to go to a 2 here, clearly. But we could always go back down to a 1. But that would break, because if we went back down to a 1, we'd have to go up to a 2. And we've already used the 1 here, so this 2 would have to go with the 1 to be able to make this work, which breaks that. So this can never be, therefore, a 1, because this is the, well, it couldn't go in that direction. Let's say that, and then we'll continue on our path. If this was, it can't do 1, 2, 1, is what I was trying to say. If it did 1, 2, and this went up to 3, then we'd have to leap up to 6. And then what do you put here? 1 or 4 doesn't work. So this cannot be a 1. It has to be the 4. So this has to be the 1. There we go. And that did work out. I was starting to go too far, and I pulled myself back, thankfully, and didn't make an assumption and have it be right and then not realize I'd made an assumption. So now this is a 1, so this has to be a 2. That forces these to be 3 and 2. Now this is either a 1 or a 4. Now if it was a 1, I could never get back up to 4, so this has to be 4, and this has to be in between the 4s. And it can't be, well, not in between the 4, but it has to be a digit that can see both 4s, so it has to either be 3 or 5, and there's a 5 here, so this is 3. Now, we've got a 17 clue here. Can we use that? I think we should be able to, because we know we can't use 2, 3, or 4 in it. So we either use a 1, which would then have to go with a 9 and a 7, because we'd have 16 left over, and there's no other way to make, there's only one way to make 16 in 2 digits. So if we did have a 1 on here, it would have to go here. Because it can't go here because of Sudoku, and it can't go here because then this Kropki would mean this would have to be a 2, and we break it again. So if there is a 1, it would be here. Let's take a further look. What if there isn't a 1? Well, the next possibles would be 5, 6, and 7. Now, 5, 6, and 7 do not equal 17. They would equal 18, because 5 and 6 is 11 plus 7 is 18, so that would be too high. So we must have a 1, therefore this is a 1. Okay. Now that we have that 1, we just said the only way to make 16 in 2 digits is 9, 7. We've got a 9 here, so this has to be 7. This has to be 9. this has to either be 6 or 8. We don't know which one it is yet. We don't have anything looking at it to be able to determine that. Okay. This German whisper is the next interest. I know we've had these arrows sitting here for a little while, but they don't seem like they're going to do a ton for me at the moment. I just don't see anything there looking at them. So as we've opened things up over here, this seems more intriguing to me. Now, this digit, we know we can't put a 5 on a German whispers. So that's something to remember, because if you put a 5, you'd have to have a 0 or a 10 on either side of it. You can't do it. So if we cannot have a 5 on the German whisper, this digit here would either have to be 1 or have to be a high digit. Now, it seems like that's perfectly useful, or usable, I should say. If it was a 1, that would force this to be a low digit as well, because we know we have to go high, low, high, low, high, low, or low, high in this instance. If this was a 1, this would have to be a high digit. This would have to be a low digit. But we already have a 1 here and a 2, 3 looking at it, so this would have to be a 4. Now, if this is a 4, again, we would have to have a 9 on both sides of it, which we cannot do. First off, we can't do it because it's in the cage, and secondly, we have a 9 looking at this one. So this cannot be a low digit. So it has to be from 6, 7, 8, or 9. Now, it can't be 6 because that would force this to be a 1, so we can get rid of that. This is a low digit. It has to be from 2 or 3. This is going to be a high digit. It can be 7, 8, or 9. This has to be a low digit. It could be absolutely anything. Now, if this was a 2 or a 3, let's start looking at our given clues here with Kropki dots, how we can work with that. If this is a 2, this has to be a 3, because it can't go down to 1. If this is a 3, it has to be a 2, because it can't go up to 4. So this is a 2, 3 pair, which actually gets rid of 2 and 3 here. Now we're getting a little close to something. And we also know that this digit is starting to get high, because we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 all pointing at it. So that might be something to look at in a second. This digit here is not super useful. It has to be either 6 or 8. Because it has to be adjacent to 7, 8, or 9, so it has to be 6, 7, 8, or 9. We've got 7 and 9 looking at it. Now, we don't quite have a triple or a quadruple here yet. Is there anything? Well, we could have put something here. We could put a 5 here just by Sudoku. I hadn't gotten to looking at Sudoku yet, so this has to be a 5. This has to be from a 6 or an 8. Let's put that in there. Now, we don't know what this 10 is. It could be a 3-cell 10. It could be a 4-cell 10, even. Heck, it can come in 5th. But we don't know. It could be 2, it could be 3, and it could be 4 in some way, shape, or form. That's all I'm trying to get at. We can remove a couple little things from here, but it's not going to help us too much at this moment either. So what can we now do with this? This seems to be like the next reasonable place to look. So this has to be from 5, 6, 7, and it cannot be 8. Because if it was 8, well, it can't be 7 either, because we have to have a consecutive digit. This can't be 7. It can't be 6 either, because we have to go down to 5. So this is 5. That's the only option it has. And therefore, this has to be consecutive with 5. And because we can't put a 6 and make 11 here, it has to be a 4 and a 9. Now, this has to at least be 5. We know that. So 5 plus what is going to equal something. Now, if we didn't put a 1 here, we wouldn't be able to put anything else until we got up to 6, which would break the puzzle. So therefore, this is 1, and this is 6, and this then gives us our 8 here, which we can remove that 8 and this 8. So now we do have a pair 7, 9 looking at this, which is nice. And we know our 10 is a 2 cell. Can we use anything there? Well, we know this, it's either going to have to be, what are our options? Let's step back for a second. We got a 6-8 looking at this thing. So we know the only things are left, it could be 1-9, or it could be 3-7. Because those are the only two options. 8-2 is out, 6-4 is out, and you obviously can't have 5-5. Now we know we already have a 7-9 looking here, so this is not 7 or 9, so this can't be 1 or 3. So we have this little mix of digits that we can look at here. But doesn't quite give us a lot. It does tell us that we have a 7-9 pair, and we almost have a quad or a triple here, but not quite. Now we also have a 10 cell here and a 9 cell up here that we could maybe start looking at. Now, this has to be a high digit because it cannot be 1, 2, 3, or 4. We cannot put a 5 on a 2 cell 10. So we're looking at 6, 7, 8, or 9. This can't be 6, there's a 6 there, so 7, 8, or 9. This can't be 9 because this would force this to be a 1, obviously. So we're putting ourselves into having this either be a 2 or a 3. Okay. Now, can we do anything with our 9 cell, or can we do anything with our Kropki dot here? Because we can reduce what can go in this Kropki dot, I think, somewhat usefully. Now, we know we could do a 1-2. That is possible. And therefore the 1 would go up there and the 2 would go down here. Oh, nope, that doesn't work. Sorry, I missed my 2-3 pair of here. We cannot do a 1-2 here because you can never put a 2 on it. We can't put a 2-3 because we break this cell. We can't do 3-4, 5, anything like that. We'd have to at least be up in the 6s. So this has to be from 6, 7, or 8 because we can't have 9, and we have to have a 7, therefore, in here. So this cannot have a 7. So that's an 8 and a 2. So we know this is actually just a 6-7 pair. We don't know exactly which one's which at the moment. Now, we do have quite a bit going on here, so I'm wondering where is the next place to really look. I mean, we kind of know what these 3 digits are. Is that really useful? Because we have a 6-8 pair and we have these given here. So we know these do have to be from 1, 3, and 5. I don't like that, but maybe we can do something with these rows because these are similar. Or we can start looking at this 9 cage, which we haven't started to look at quite yet. So down here, we need to have 3, 4, and 5. None of those are in any way reduced, so that doesn't help us. Okay. So maybe it is our 9 cell. What can we do? Can we ever do 2, 3, 4? Let's start there. If we did, the 4 would have to go here, the 3 would have to go here, and the 2 would have to go here. Because we have 4s looking up at it, so therefore this would have to be the 4. Then we've got a 3 looking here, so this would have to end up being the 3, and then this would have to be the 2, because it's all that's left over. Now, the other option is to put a 1 in it, so therefore this would be the only location we could put a 1 because of these. That murkies the water a little bit, though, because these 2 digits now can be a few other things. We just have to add up to 8 now. So we're either looking at a 1, 2, 6, which would force a 2 here and a 6 here, or we're looking at a 1, 3, 5, which the 3 would still always go here, but therefore we can never put a 5 in it, so we can't do that. So this is either 1, 2, 6 or 2, 3, 4 is what I've determined. And we don't quite have that double we want to get this digit. So what did I say? 1, 2, 6, or 2, 3, 4. So there's always a 2 in here somewhere. Again, we can't quite use that to much use at the moment, it doesn't seem. Now, we do know there has to be a 2 up here somewhere because of this column. We can't put one down there. We know there has to be an 8 up here somewhere because we can't put it down here. But we cannot say where the 7 goes. Trying to reduce possibilities. Now, we still need an 8 in here, but it can go either place. We need to have another 6 or a 7, and it can't go. Okay, so that's going to be it. We have to have another 6 or 7 because we already have one of them here. We can't put it here because that would break this, therefore it has to go over here. Now we've just created a 6-7 pair, so therefore we have to put an 8 in here. And that's going to tell us that what we kind of already knew, that there has to be an 8 over here. So our 2, 3 and our 6, 7 doesn't appear to do much either at the moment. Now, can we remove some of the options here? I don't think we can because the 7 can go either place. I didn't fully look at this earlier, but I might have just subconsciously seen it. We could still put a 7 here and the 1 and the 2 would work perfectly fine. We could still put a 7 here and this could be a 2 either. So that's kind of out in terms of being helpful. We know what these 3 digits have to be something. Maybe that we can use. And we can. So we have to have a 2 and a 3 in here somewhere. This one can't be 2 or 3 because 2 and 3 are staring at us. So these are 2, 3. And that's going to give us a 1 here. Okay. These are little bits and bobs we're getting. Now we have to have an 8 over here somewhere. Well, let's look at this row better. We might be able to remove something. These are 3 given digits. We know they're from 1, 4, and 5. That didn't do what I hoped it might do. Okay. And here, I can't say no on anything except for their 8 has to be there. Okay. Did I have anything else creep in here that I wasn't seeing on my 9? I don't believe so. Well, I do have something here. Sorry, the 2 sees this. This is 3 and 2. That didn't give me any further information, though. I'm kind of leery about marking some of these things, but let's see what we can figure out. We know there has to be a 1 up here somewhere. We said there had to be an 8 up here, and there has to be a 2 up here. What about down in here? We need to have, we can't have a 1. Well, clearly the 1 is up there. We could have a 4 down here, so we can't rule that out. We have to have a 5 up here somewhere. One of these two, because we can't have a 5 in any of these. One of these must be a 5. Now, can we continue on this? 6s, 7s, and 8s are all pretty much figured out. The 9 is not. Now, if we could have ruled out a 9, that would have given us a lot of information, but we can't quite get there. Okay, is there anything on this side we can also do? We know the 2 has to be up top. The 3 could be anywhere. We can't rule out 7. We know we have to have an 8 up there, and we don't have a 9, so. Okay. Are there any clues that I'm not properly using? This 7 could be could go with the 6 or an 8. I can't use that. This Renban is not reduced enough where I can do anything with it. This German Whisper, as we... oh, this can never be a 3. It was this. I wasn't paying much attention. I was looking at the 1-7s and not looking at this. If this was ever a 3, this would have to be 7-9, and that would break. So this is 2 and 3. So let's get this to open back up again. It didn't really do much for me, but it did get a couple of things. So this is a 7-9 pair. We do not know which one is which, so therefore we don't know if that's a 1 or a 4. And yeah, I don't see anything else on this row we can work with at the moment. This clue is still kind of just sitting here looking at me, not doing a whole lot. We know there has to be a 1 in one of these two. What about 2s? Okay, 2s are there in just Sudoku now. So we've got 3 2s looking into this box, and none of these can be 2. So this is 2. I don't think that's going to give me anything, and it did not, but it is a digit in the box that we can use. Now 3s, we've got 2 possibilities of 3s. Well, now we can place the 1. I said one of these had to be a 1. That one isn't, so this one is. So 1, 9, this becomes a 4, this becomes a 9, this becomes a 7. These are a 1, 5 pair. Okay, this seems to be where we're moving at the moment. We have to have a 3, 5, and a 6, but there's nothing looking at it. These are from 6, 7, and 8. Is there anything just basic Sudoku-y that I can do here? Because it seemed to have helped me previously. 2s. Not really. 3s. Okay, here's a 3. One of these must be a 3. We already know one of those is a 3. We already know one of those is a 3. How about our 4s? Yep, we got a 4 down here in the corner. It seems like this corner box is working out for us, which is going to give us a 5 over here, so we can get rid of this 5. Sorry, not both of those marks. And we will know what these 3 are because we finished this row for the most part. So we have 3, 4, and 7. That's not 4. That's not 3. This digit is a given 9. Therefore, these 2 have to be from 5 and 6. Okay. Right, I don't see anything else at the moment looking at me, so let's move on to something else. Oh, this 6, 7 here does point down here, so this has to be 4. So I can get rid of those markings. And we are into a 3, 7 pair. That 4 is now going to finish our 9 off so we can get up to here. So this has to be a 1. Now, if we said it was a 1, this had to be a 2, and this had to be a 6. So therefore, we can get rid of some of our markings. Now, we've got a 12 clue that's just popped its head out here. Can we use that? Well, we can, because we can never put an 8 in here, because otherwise you'd have to put a 4 here, and a 4 is seen here. So this is not 8, so this is 8. Let's get rid of that. We actually know what these 2 digits are, really. They're 5 and 9. Let's put those in. And then we can look back to see if we can determine what this other digit could be. We can't, because we end up having a 3, 7 pair. Okay. Now, we don't know the remainder of this. We just know that there has to be a 6 up here somewhere. And there has to be a 4 up there somewhere. Let's just put those in for now. This can't be a 1 because this would have to be a 2, so we can get rid of 1 here. If this is a 3, this would have to be a 4, and that does work. If this is a 5, this could be a 4, and it has to be a 4 because it can't be a 6, so this just is 4. That's going to cut back on our 4s over there. Now, can I do anything further with some of these clues that are things that I can? Where does a 6 go in this row? It can't go up in here, or column, so therefore it has to go here. 8, 7, 6, and 8. That's gonna probably get me through with most of this puzzle now, because we have to have a 2 and a 9 up in here, up in here. These have to be from 7 and 8. We've got an 8 looking at it, so let's put our 7 and our 8 in. I paused for a second because I thought this was close enough where it would have spread, but it is not. Good. I've got a bunch of markings here I want to try to go through and remove. So this can't be 1, so therefore this is 1. Now it puts a 1 in one of these. Seems like there's probably a lot going on here that we could try to work through. This can't be 6. So we've got a 3-5 pair to go along with these other digits, which means these have to be from 4, 7, and 9. This cannot be 9. That can't be 4 or 9. So this is 7. That's 4. That's 9. Okay, this is no longer the 4. Again, not quite finishing off, but let's look at Sudoku because it feels like we're pretty darn close to what needs to be done to finalize here. One of these is a 2. This might not work as I want to. This is the only other real clue remaining. Yeah, so we do get a 4 actually, because none of these can be 4s anymore. So this is the 4. The 4 gets finished, so that clears up all that fog over there. We just have a little patch of fog over here, which we can deal with later. And let's just see if our Sudoku will give us anything else to finish up with. And if not, then we will move on to our other clues that have shown themselves. Not seeing anything at the moment. One of those being a 7 isn't helpful. One of these being a 7 isn't helpful. 8. So this is a 1-8 pair, which is going to push our 2 up to here. That's going to give us our 9 and our 2 and our 5 and our 9, and that is correct because this is cleared. So this 9 now forces this to be a 3, 7, 3. That 3, and we got a doot in the corner. This 3 sees that, so this has to be 5 and 3. This is not 3 or 5, so it's 6. This clearly has to be a 1 to be able to equal up to that 9, so this is 8. That's 5, that's 3, that's 6, this is 7, 5 and 1. Okay, what do we have left? This has to be either 5 or 6, and it can't be 5, so therefore it's 6. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, and 7. And everything is inputted. Let's check to see if this is correct. You saw the puzzle solution is correct. Good. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Again, Megan 033 puzzles are always fun. Usually if they're Fog of Wars, which are always a favorite. So hope you all enjoyed that one. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're trying to get ourselves up to a decent channel here. So everything that you guys have done for me to this point is much appreciated. And let's just keep sticking to it. Hopefully we'll get there. So anyway, thanks. Have a good one, and I'll see you later.